All right, welcome back to the Nitty Gritty, episode 124. It's impressive. 124 episodes. I don't think I've ever done anything 124 times. Well, weekly. But we are here with a very special guest today. He's a neighbor of mine. I'm acting like I know him.
Yeah.
Now we know each other. I mean, we really only live about 3 blocks away, but we have Brian Fruit, the owner of 3 different companies, and I don't know which one his favorite is.
We're going to find out.
I know which one my favorite is because I don't fit on bicycles. But he owns, we've got 2 bike shops, Timpanogos Cyclery, the Bike Peddler in American Fork, and he is also the owner of Lizardskins, which I think that's the one I'm most excited to talk about because there's some hockey relation there. But welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
So I'm curious. I want to actually start with the Bike Peddler because I grew up in American Fork.
Okay.
And so I think I bought my first mountain bike from Bike Peddler. The little shop there on the corner, like the old shop that you used to have, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that thing I feel like is so synonymous with American Fork. Bike Peddler's always like been there, right?
It has been there a long time. So good and bad. In 2019, we relocated to a brand new facility in Lehigh at Thanksgiving Point.
Yep.
So we were able to buy a piece of property, which now everybody's like wondering how we pulled it off. But at the time, we paid more than I thought it was worth and more than anybody thought it was worth. But today, it looks like it was a great deal.
Yeah.
That is a very humble way to tell that story.
But it was crazy, yeah. So we moved in 2019, and it was a rough year because we had a ton of new expenses with the new store, and sales didn't immediately jump up. But 2020...
That was like the year of the mountain.
That was the year of the mountain bike.
I could not find a bike anywhere.
So,
we tried so hard.
So
how did you get into biking? Like, how did it all kind of come to be? Like,
it's a good question.
Where does your journey start?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I went to BYU and studied business there. Parking was a nightmare. Probably is even worse now.
Yeah.
And
that was the reason I didn't go to BYU, outside of the fact they didn't want me. Was
what? Like, I don't care if you don't want me. The parking sucks anyway.
No, because I went there once and I parked and I was like, hold on, I'm gonna have to park for every class. Like, I can't just park once and just be inside.
Yeah, why aren't there chairlifts?
Because I was coming from UVU,
right?
Where you park once and everything's indoors and connected through hallways. I was like, hold on, no, that sucks. No thanks.
There's a lot of walking. So anyway, I got a mountain bike. I worked one summer and had some odd jobs and took that money and I bought my first mountain bike. It was in the early 90s, and I just fell in love with it. You know, I'd take that bike and go up to Sundance and ride the trails there. I'd go with some friends down to Moab, and then I would ride my bike every day to school, and I totally fell in love with the whole concept of mountain biking. Had no businesses or involvement in mountain biking at all.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to my senior year at BYU, or my last year, I should say, at BYU. And a company in Salt Lake was going out of business that was involved in the mountain bike world, and they sent out these little postcards to all the bike stores and anybody involved with cycling, offering these discounts to liquidate their inventory. And I ended up buying some of that inventory one day. I drove up there. A friend of mine gave me the postcard. He worked at Sundance as one of the bike patrol guys, and showed me the postcard, and I went up there and I bought like $300 worth of parts, and all the way home, like, oh man, what am I doing? I don't have $300. This is the worst idea ever. And then I sold all those parts that night to like people, and there was no social media, there was no internet, and just like, it's crazy.
So just like, you were just like calling random people and be like,
yeah, hey, it just happened. Like, yeah, telephone calls and so people bought the parts, and then the next day I like went up there again. I felt like one of those bugs to the blue light, you know, the zapper. And I went up there and bought like $300 for the parts again. I'm like, oh man, all kinds of remorse all the way home. Sold all those parts again, and then over the next 6 weeks, I sold $30,000 worth of parts out of the back of my car to all these bike stores that all received the exact same postcard, but none of them went up there. And I made enough to buy my wife a wedding ring and save a little money up for us to go on a honeymoon, and we got married, a few months later.
Wow.
So,
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. How many trips did you take?
well, a lot, yeah. So you'd have loved it. I had a 1989 Camaro IROC Z.
Wow.
And that was like a 2-wheel drive car, and I would like open the hatchback, and I would like stuff all these boxes in there and like bungee cord it down. And I was hauling these bike parts around. I would go visit a store and offer them the parts, which I didn't even own at the time. And then they would give me their list, and then I would run and go buy the parts, and then I would run back and deliver them the parts at a markup. And some days I would have like 3 different price lists because, I'd go visit a guy and he would take all of this and then none of that. So I would raise the price on that, and I would lower the price on the other. And then I'd go visit another dealer, and same thing would happen. And so I would change the price around due to the demand.
Right.
And it was great. And I just loved the bike industry, and I think it just planted a seed that I wanted to do something in that space.
So, I mean, you were obviously at school for business, so you had that inside of you somewhere.
Yeah, my grandpa had businesses, kind of unique, different businesses. He used to raise geese, and he would sell the geese to the cotton farmers, and they would eat the grass out of the cotton fields. This is before the pesticides became popular.
Yeah.
So it was like organic before organic was really a word.
Right.
And then my dad had several businesses, and they were also kind of different, unique businesses. And then, I just kind of always felt like I would do businesses as well. And
Okay.
And sure enough, yeah, mine have all been kind of unique and different as well.
Yeah. So you start selling. They were just parts of bikes. They
It
weren't
was just
even like bikes.
parts of bikes, yeah, like rims and seats and headsets.
Were you going up and just buying whatever you could get the best deal on, or was there like specific items?
They had a list, and I literally took their list and I manipulated it on my little 386 computer that I had back in the day with the word processor. And then I would go visit these stores, and they would look at the list and they would determine what they liked. So I kind of had an idea,
So that's your point. I guess you were selling them before you had to actually
Most
buy
of the
them.
time I was selling it before I got it, and marking it up a bit, and I realized I could mark it up a bit more, and I found where the sweet spots were, but I mean it was 6 weeks, and I probably made a third of what a full-time job would have been back then.
Yeah.
During that 6 weeks of kind of part-time fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so after that happened, you got married, ring,
Yeah.
honeymoon.
The
Were you like, okay, I'm going to do this like full time now? Or was it just like, oh, that was fun?
I think it planted a seed that I liked the bicycle industry, and so I tried to find something in that. A friend of mine, we wanted to make some parts, and that didn't ever work out. We thought we had something figured out, but it just didn't quite work out. And then another opportunity presented itself to jump in with a guy by the name of Lance Larson, who had the idea and concept of Lizardskins, but nothing had happened yet. And so Lance and I kind of teamed up and rolled out Lizardskins, and it was small. Like our first month, we did $350 of sales. Wow. So it wasn't like a big thing. But Lance and I worked together for 8.5 years, and at that point I bought him out. He kind of wanted to pursue some other passions. I believe he actually went to Costa Rica and lived for the next year after I bought him out and went surfing every day.
Sounds like a smart man.
So he created some cool memories, I'm sure.
So from the bikes, so the first business was Lizardskin then.
That's correct. I know that sounds different. A lot of times people will have a bike store and then they'll create a product, but we actually started with Lizardskins.
Okay.
And the original structure was, like a half-page agreement on a piece of paper that Lance and I long ago lost. But he would basically make the product and I would sell it.
Okay.
And we got to a point where I could actually sell it faster than he could make it. So I had a little bit of free time, a little bit more bandwidth. And so the opportunity presented itself to open a store up. And the idea with the store was we would put it in this building, and the back of the building would be Lizardskins, and the front of the building would be the bike store. And we just had this little simple bell on the door. When the door opened, we'd run out front and help people, and then we'd go back to our normal job of Lizardskins.
Right. So was Lizardskins created for biking, for
Correct.
handlebars?
Yeah. Accessories for bicycles.
Wow.
And
So what was that like? I mean, how did that come to be?
well, the bell rang so much, we actually had to like get employees to like help us because the store was so busy.
Right.
And that was Timpanogos Cyclery. So
Okay.
the store became a success and literally outgrew the space, and Lizardskins had to relocate into a new building, and ultimately Timpanogos Cyclery had to relocate into a new building. And
So what is Lizardskins for people that don't know?
Right.
Like, what is it?
perfect. So we started off making accessories for bicycles, injection molded rubber grips for mountain bikes, a tape that will go on road bikes for the handlebars there, different neoprene and Velcro accessories to protect your bike.
Did this come from like as you were biking, you were like, oh, I wish I had this?
Yeah, there
Like,
was
is that
some
kind
things.
of where it came from?
Yeah, as I was biking, I'm like, there's kind of a hole here we need to fit. But it was real simple stuff. It wasn't like crazy engineering. It was pretty simple fixes,
Yeah.
We've made millions and millions of chainstay protectors. That's a piece of neoprene with Velcro sewn on both sides, and you wrap it around the frame, and then when the chain bounces up and down from the derailleur having a spring in it, it'll hit the neoprene instead of the frame.
Oh, wow.
So it doesn't scratch and it doesn't make a bunch of noise.
Wow.
So simple solution.
So what was the very first product from Lizardskin then?
That was it. The
That was
chainstay
it?
protector. Yeah.
Okay.
And we still make them today. So
So why lizard skin? What's behind that?
that's a good one. Lance's brother had a school project for like a design class, I believe, and he had to come up with a name and a logo. And so he came up with this name, Lizardskins, and a logo. And there was
Not for any specific business.
no
He
company associated
Wow.
with
He
it.
just totally made it up.
And then a year or two later, Lance is like, "Are you going to ever use that for anything?" He's like, "I don't think so." He's like, "You mind if I use it?" He's like, "Now go ahead."
No
That's how it
way.
started.
That's the Bam Bam story.
Yeah.
I got my logo and, well, not the name, but all my logo and everything was from a college. It was like their final exam.
Yep.
And I fed the class, and the guy said, you come up and feed us, and you can pick whatever logo you like the best, and it's all yours. It's like,
That's
how cool is
awesome.
that? So what a great story. And I mean, it fits the brand perfectly.
It
You
is.
think about it.
It's a wonderful name.
Did you ever think of rebranding like as you got going? Was there ever that thing?
We've adjusted the logo and stuff like that, and the font and things like that. But no, I mean it's a great name,
I love
Totally
it.
is.
That's awesome.
and it is crazy expensive because we have trademarks
Right.
all over the world.
Yeah.
So I mean, there may be 100 different trademarks. So if you wanted to change it,
Yeah.
yeah,
fun with that.
it would be a lot of money.
So then what was the progression in Lizardskins to, I mean,
Well, it sounds like the Cyclery became
That was the second one.
the
Yep.
shiny, but did that one kind of overtake Lizardskins success-wise as far as like
So
maybe pulling
we
some
started,
of the focus away?
Started first with Lizardskins, and it was
Right.
growing and doing okay. And then we started this little bike store, thinking it would just be simple, and we weren't really that committed from a time standpoint.
Right.
And then it started doing really well. And then one of the neighbors that was 4.3 miles down the road had another bike store. Said, "Wow, I don't really like competing with you. Why don't you buy me out?" And so we bought him out, and that was Bike Peddler. So thus
okay.
the different names. So because we were like next to each other.
Right.
So the philosophy is you could come to Timpanogos Cyclery, buy it from me, or you could go shop the competition at Bike Peddler
And buy it for
and
me.
buy it from me.
I
Yeah,
never
it
knew
was
that it
awesome.
was the same owner.
Yeah, and now like they have such a different flavor. The managers and the staff, it's super different.
Do they hate
And
each other?
No, they try to help each other, but they are motivated to make the sale in their own store.
Oh, for sure.
So
Is there any
Healthy competition.
like as a customer? Is there any like, oh, I bought it from Timpanogos. Can you take it into Bike Peddler?
no,
Okay.
no, they're separate.
Did you, when you were looking to buy Bike Peddler, was the first thought we're going to rebrand, or like did you always just
No, I had
we'll keep
like
it separate?
I think I had 5 simple things that I was going to do. The owner was an attorney, and I will say like he created like the best paperwork and documents. Like it was crazy smooth and easy. His name was Tim Williams. Did a great job from that standpoint. But I wanted to bring in more inventory. I wanted to bring in specifically more high-end inventory. I wanted to minimize some of the little expenses that they had allowed to incur. I wanted to give the employees the opportunity to make the sale, so empower them. And then we wanted to do a little bit of marketing and advertising. Not crazy amounts, but a little bit. And that was it. Like that was
Right.
the roadmap. And to be honest, that's all we've really done since we bought it. And wow, the business has grown tenfold since we bought it.
So if you were to compare Timpanogos to Bike Peddler, is Bike Peddler the higher end?
No, they both sell high end.
Okay.
Yeah. So Timpanogos moved out of that first building
Yep.
and into a nice new building that we built. And so it got the new building first, and which give it a little leg up on the sales.
Yeah.
And then in 2019, we moved Bike Peddler to a new location at Thanksgiving Point.
Yep.
And then it now has a bit of a leg up because it's in such a
Good spot.
perfect spot.
Okay.
Different brands, different like or
We sell Specialized in both, but we sell Santa Cruz at Bike Peddler. So we have a Santa Cruz offering
right.
at Bike Peddler. But
Wow.
great repairs. We really focus on having an amazing repair shop at both stores. And
Oh, I just took all my bikes in and got them serviced at Timpanogos. That's so funny. Because you're right by Macy's, right off
that's
the state,
right.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's where we just got all of our bikes serviced at.
It's awesome.
The team there is amazing, and we have some equipment at Timpanogos Cyclery that I don't think anybody else in the state has at a bike store. So we can actually rebuild shocks and forks and stuff, and nobody has the actual
Wow.
commitment of equipment that we made there, which is pretty neat.
I will say one thing because I'm not a biker. In 2020, we started looking for bikes because
Yep.
why not?
Because everybody was.
Everyone else was, so I guess we have to as well. What I didn't realize is they are so expensive.
You can get some nice bikes.
Like I went to the store and I was seeing
like motorcycle money.
$5,000 and $10,000 bikes, and I was just like,
Well, and that's only like half of what. Can't they get up to like 20 plus on a couple
We
of them?
have several bikes in stock at both stores that are about 15,000. and occasionally, I mean,
are they electric bikes or are they just mountain
they're
bikes?
pedal assist.
Okay.
Yeah, pedal assist
Okay.
at that price point.
Yeah.
But it's not uncommon for somebody to walk in and say, I want a new bike, and you start talking to them about it, and they walk out with, one of those $15,000 ones. Sometimes
Do you
it's
offer financing? And that's a serious question.
Oh, for
So,
sure. You'd have to. Right?
there are some financing options that,
But for the most part, they're just buying them.
yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of people who have done super well here.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's true. That is very true.
Well, and the other thing is there's so many different like styles and types of bikes too.
there's just a lot of people like that's their passion.
Yeah.
So they don't have a big boat, or they don't have a cabin, or they don't have a beach house, or they just love cycling.
Yeah.
It's healthy and it's fun, and they do it with their whole family, and
Well, we live in a great place for it too, right?
like maybe the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there would be people that would argue,
For sure.
but it's up there.
But yeah, I mean, between southern Utah and northern Utah, I mean, you've got everything here,
Yeah.
right?
Right here,
Rock,
like
sand, desert,
from our house,
mountains.
from where we live.
That's right, neighbors.
You can ride, right to the trails. It's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you still active? Do you still ride
I
a lot?
love riding. Yeah.
You still do?
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's. I'm not as fast as maybe I thought I used to be.
Not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was.
So, but I still love riding and love getting out.
Okay.
So what makes a bike $15,000? Do you mind? I mean, I'm sure it's
So,
materials, right?
yeah.
They're so light, which is
A lot of
nuts.
carbon fiber.
Right.
The pedal assist. It'll be extremely lightweight for the category. It will probably have an electronic dropper post. So it's like a Bluetooth. So you push a button on the handlebar and it makes the seat post go up and down.
I did see
Oh,
that
wow.
actually.
My
I
No
saw.
wire, no cable.
I did see
And
that.
then it'll
So the guy was
have-
riding it, and there was a blue light. All of a sudden, he pressed it, and it's just.
And then on the rear derailleur, it will also be electronic. So you push the button to shift, and a Bluetooth signal will cause it to shift without a cable.
My gosh.
So there's some pretty cool stuff out there. It's
That
pretty
is insane.
Do they still make like normal bikes, or has it gotten to the point where like this is kind of what you do when
What's
you,
a
Yeah.
normal bike?
We do
It's
have
like a normal mountain bike, not just gears.
just like
so we have like $600 mountain bikes that are kind of what you would think a traditional bike.
okay,
But they're getting more expensive because
They
when I
all are.
started, that bike was $200.
Yeah.
and that bike's $600 now.
yeah,
And those are hard to come by because of the shipping problems. You know, containers from the Orient. They used to be $5,000 for a container. Now they're $25,000 for a container. And if you only put 200 bikes in the container, that's an extra $100 for incoming shipping.
Yeah.
So on a $500 bike, you can see where it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
It's not a $500 bike anymore. You know, it's a
Are we ready to start making stuff here again?
there is
I mean, all the extra money we're paying for shipping, we could just pay the. Because I mean, that was always the complaint, right? Like everything is too expensive to build here, but it's like maybe now.
there are some companies that are pushing toward that. Ibis is making some actual carbon fiber bikes here in California, which is kind of fun. The challenge is a lot of the parts are still made
For
overseas.
sure.
So you could make the frame here, but you're still waiting on the parts.
Right. Then you got to assemble them and.
But
Wow.
Santa Cruz is a wonderful brand, and we sell those, and they actually assemble the bikes 100% here.
Oh,
So
wow.
they buy all the parts and pieces, and then they have them assembled in Santa Cruz.
Oh, wow.
So it's really quite cool.
That is pretty cool. So, do you deal with the disconnect of, I think that cycling industry is interesting because I feel like a lot of people have shied away from buying like their kids' bikes at bike shops. Like, do you deal with that a lot?
Yeah,
like
for
Walmart,
sure.
for example.
I have friends and family and neighbors that they'll show up with a new bike from a department store, and the brakes aren't good, and the headset's not good, and the cranks aren't good, and pretty soon
it's
the kid has
crazy.
crashed and knocked out their front teeth, and the bike's garbage and it's thrown away, and you're just like scratching your head. And then if they'll commit to a $500 or $600 bike, used to be a $300 bike,
Right.
from the bike store, then they can pass it on to the next kid.
For sure.
And to the next kid, and to the next kid.
Interesting.
And ultimately, it turns out to be cheaper to buy the more expensive bike.
I just saw an article the other day on Google. I need to find it, but it said there was something about, I don't know if it was a union or what, but it was talking about how somebody is demanding that Walmart stop making bikes that they know are going, or stop selling bikes they know are going to break. And I think it had something to do with the manufacturers. Like, they're making us make these in a way that we know they're going to break and we don't want to do it anymore, or something like that. I thought that was really interesting because it's true. Like, you go to a bike shop and look at the $500 or $600 bike. Yeah, you go to Walmart and it's $200, but just lift it up. One, it's 600 pounds. But it's such a piece of crap. But it's hard to spend $500-$600 on a bicycle for your kid. That's just,
It's an investment, but
Right.
In Utah where there's larger families, they can buy that first one and then pass it on to the next kid
true.
and the next kid. And interestingly, like once all those kids have outgrown that bike, probably put it online and sell it because
that's true.
and it turns out to still have a value
Yeah.
where the other one has no value.
Well, you get what you pay for. And it's funny how our brain tends to, there are some things it's really easy to justify paying a certain price for it, but there are some things that are just like, I'm not going to pay $600 for a bike. But I mean, you're
I think-
paying $12 for a hamburger at McDonald's now. So it's like, it's all relative. I mean,
I think part of it
everything's
is
more
like
expensive.
if you do it
Right.
right, like if the parents
But every kid's going to ride a bike.
it's like- but that's my point. Like, but if the parents don't do it actively, then it's like they want to ride a bike.
They don't have the value.
I don't.
That makes sense.
I can't spend that money. It's like with anything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of make that argument. So you always do end up getting more value when you spend money.
Well, and
I think that's why it's harder.
You never think about the safety. You brought up an interesting point about the safety part.
Yeah, they're way
thought,
safer.
Yeah, I've never thought about that.
I've never, like, you just think like, I hope it doesn't break.
Yeah.
But you never think about like what actually happens if you're riding down the street and the pedal snaps off.
It's not good.
It's not good. I have experience.
Not good.
I had a mountain bike on my mission that was welded just about everywhere because I snapped both pedals. I had a seat. The shocks broke in the front. I went over the handlebars. I have a big scar in my right hand from a rock going right into my hand. It was flush with my palm.
Oh man.
It was in Georgia. I missed a curb. Like I popped up to go over a curb and I did it just a little early, of course. And I wasn't this big. I was only like 225, 230 on my mission. Hit the curb and just like snapped. It was just one of those stupid Leahona bikes, like the mission bikes. I went over and I popped the rock out, which was a mistake. And it was just like, just blood everywhere. But yeah, I mean, you don't think about what happens when a handlebar snaps or a pedal snaps or a seat snaps. Like that $600 is a lot cheaper than stitches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You should just have that on a poster in your.
There's some marketing.
Yeah.
It's a fun environment. The bike stores are a lot of fun, and the people that come in, I think they really enjoy themselves. And we try to cater to people from every price point. If somebody wants a $15,000 bike,
Right.
great, we can help them. If they want a entry-level bike for themselves or their kid, we can help them there too.
See, and I think that's huge. I've been to a couple bike stores where there's definitely this. It's like ski and snowboard shops. There's definitely this kind of like, you're not a biker. You know
don't
what I mean?
have
Like
spandex shorts on.
I'm just looking for a bike for my kid, and I won't say which one it was. It was none of yours. Don't worry. It's somewhat close to here. I will say that, but they didn't want to give me the time of day. I would have spent. I was ready to buy a $500 or $600 bike for my kid. Like it was my 12-year-old, and so. Anyway, I think that's huge. The customer service thing's a big deal.
Well, and the service thing,
especially
too.
with retail. See, and I think that's a huge deal too, because you buy a bike at Walmart. Sorry, something breaks, you're screwed.
Well, and to your point, Brian, like if you have a nice bike, if you service it, it's going to last forever.
Yeah, you have to have a good service department, or otherwise you can't sell the high-end bikes.
Yeah.
But I tell everybody in the team, it's like, we're selling fun.
Yeah.
Some of the fun is more expensive than other.
Yeah.
But let's not get confused. We're selling fun.
Yeah.
So let's take care of
Well,
everybody
if
that
they have
walks in
fun
the
on the
door.
$600 bike, maybe they come back in for the $2,000 bike, and
How
then
I
that
started.
turns into
Yeah.
the $7,000. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
Is that what you see? Do you see most people kind of dip their toe in?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's where I started. I
Yeah.
mean, my first bike was $800, which was a ton of money back then.
Yeah.
And
geez, IROC Z too. What man?
it was a fun.
You had things
I'm
going
from
good.
California. So it was not a Utah car.
When he said 89 Camaro, I was like, that was probably around 89. That was like, he was cruising, man. That's awesome.
It was definitely not a good car for the snow.
Oh, for sure.
Lots of power, big wide tires. But
So before we jump into the story, I have a selfish question to ask. What's the best way to store bikes in a garage?
yeah,
I feel like that is like the vein that
hard.
might exist. Like, how do you store bikes? Because like I've tried, you hang them up on the wall, but then my kids can't.
Now
They're
they
not
have
strong
this button
enough.
on them. If you press it, the Bluetooth just takes it to the ceiling. It's amazing. No cables.
there's a handful of devices. We've got some
Like,
got some
is there
parking
something
stands
that
that are awesome.
hurts bikes? Like if you like store them the wrong way, like does that matter, or is it more just like preference?
Yeah, I mean, there's some things you want to do. If you're going to hang them, from the ceiling or from a hook, you want to allow them to kind of let all the oil and the disc brakes and everything kind of settle down before you start grabbing the brakes and things of that nature. But yeah, I mean, I have some of mine in parking stands, like a bike, just on the ground, and then I have other ones hanging from the ceiling.
Okay.
They're just big and bulky, like
They are.
Yeah.
but they're a lot of fun. I got to ride over the weekend. It was great.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like how many bikes, like for someone like yourself, how many types of bikes do you have?
Well, I
Many
count
bike
all.
garages.
Yeah, I mean, I count all the bikes in the bike stores as mine. So. All right.
They are yours, actually.
So I have hundreds right now.
That's funny.
Oh, that's awesome. So I guess, has there ever been a time, so you have, Timpanogos, you have Lizardskins, Bike Peddler. Has each business kind of had a time in a season for your attention? Have you always tried to split it equally, or like how have you done that and like balance those?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that, some of us are wired that we need a lot of things going on in our life, and I probably am one of those guys.
Yeah.
So I kind of like to have all of it going at one time. My office has traditionally always been at Lizardskins.
Okay.
And so, but even if I'm at Lizardskins, sometimes I'm doing emails or paperwork for the bike stores. Mm-hmm. But I'll go by and I'll visit the stores, each week, check in, see how things are going, collect paperwork, see if there's any needs. I have a lot of friends that will call and ask about bikes. I had one of my real estate partners yesterday picked up a bike from us. And the day prior, he had mentioned that he was interested in a bike, and I'm a bike salesman. So like,
I was gonna say, do you like that? Does that bother you?
Oh no, I love it.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, one of my favorite things ever.
Because I'll get barbecue questions, and it is interesting. Like sometimes it'll be like, "Are you serious? Like I'm at home, leave me alone." But sometimes I get really, really into it. So
yeah.
When you said that, I was like, I wonder how.
Oh yeah, I love talking bikes. I love selling bikes to people.
That's cool.
So I took a couple photos to a friend and sent them over to him, and then he was available. So then we started FaceTiming. I'm showing him the different bikes, and he brought his wife over, and they did some test rides, and we found him a great bike last night.
What did he get?
He got a specialized. She got a specialized Levo SL.
Wow!
In this cool kind of a dusty turquoise color.
That's the other thing, man. They've got those bikes looking so cool now.
That's awesome.
Like the paint jobs are amazing.
So they're going to have a lot of fun. Now they've got two bikes that they can both enjoy, and it's fun.
So if someone was to, I'm going to use me as an example, want to start, what type of bike would you recommend at this point? Do you get a pedal assist? Do you do a fat tire? Do you do a mountain bike? Do you do a high? You know what I mean? There's so many. I know it's a really maybe impossible question.
He loves to sell bikes. This is good.
Everybody that walks in the door, that's the first thing we do. We just chat with them and kind of find out what their goals are. The big fat tires are designed to go in the snow, and they're really fun for that, but they're not as much fun just on a dirt trail.
Yeah.
But if you want to go in the snow, like that's your option.
So you got to be pretty hardcore to get something like that.
Yeah.
To actually get the use out of it.
It'll just be one bike of many that's in that person's portfolio of bikes. They have a collection.
Got it.
Portfolio. I like
Yeah. Well, they're going to spend some money there.
That's right.
It's an investment in their life.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, probably a great starter bike would be like a Specialized rock hopper, and they make, lots of different price points there.
Yeah.
Then if the person's maybe a little bit more hardcore, maybe they got a bit more budget, we would look at a pedal assist.
Okay.
This the last couple of years have been
Can you take a pedal assist like actually in the mountains? Like, is that?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Okay. Oh, it's so much fun.
Oh my gosh, I might get into it.
It's so much fun, because it levels the playing field a little bit. You still have to keep the bike upright. Like you can still crash.
Yeah.
The pedal assist doesn't keep you from hitting a tree.
Yeah.
But it kind of keeps you from hitting the wall when you can't,
Yeah.
when you run out of energy. But we've seen a lot of retired senior couples that have come in and bought two pedal assist bikes and a rack. So we had to buy special racks that had like little ramps.
Okay.
So they can just kind of wheel the bike up on the ramp without having to lift them.
Yeah.
And they'll take and ride them. And it's been really fun to see, these older couples. We want some bikes.
So with the pedal assist,
wow.
Like if you didn't want to use it,
it has a button on the handlebar, and you can go to 0, 1, 2, or 3. So you pick your level.
If you're on 0, is it harder than if you didn't have it because it's maybe heavier or something?
So it depends on the bike.
Okay.
Yes, it is a little heavier, but some of the bikes have a little bit of a drag through the motor, and some of them don't.
Okay.
So it depends on the model.
It's probably the nicer the bike, the less the drag.
Yeah, exactly. So some of the bikes, don't have any drag at all. So you can just ride it as a bicycle. In fact, you could, take the battery out of it, and it's really not even that heavy anymore.
Okay.
And just ride it as a bicycle. But
That's
it's
really
more
cool.
fun to ride it as a pedal assist.
Sure.
Hell yeah. That's the thing. Like, so a dude like me that, like, let's say, like I'm 350, right? Settle down, everybody. It used to be 430. Okay, we're getting somewhere. No, but
The right direction.
Yeah, we're going in the right direction. But it's funny. I have a torn meniscus right now. I just found out about. But good old sports. I have kind of wrecked knees. But I would love to like trail ride, right?
Yeah.
Not crazy. I'm just
Right.
saying. But see, when I hear pedal assist, I hear like I could actually go up in the mountains and not crank on my knees going. It's a little uphill.
Yeah.
I can turn that on and be able to go places where I thought, like, no way, I'm not going to go up. My knee will be toast.
I think it allows people to go faster and farther.
Right.
So, and there are some trails that are not allowed. So we want
Really?
to respect that. But
Why?
Why?
I don't know the answer to that.
Is that like no snowboarders allowed at some ski resort type of thing?
Kind of, yeah. So
Douchebags.
It's like a purist type of
hopefully
thing.
that gets removed.
That's
But
really strange.
Who enforces that?
BLM.
Like
Forest
the people
Service.
on the trails, they're like, oh, you
Well,
can't
it's
be here.
got to be government, right? I mean,
so some of the trails, they just say, pedal assist. There's some confusion. I mean, some people
That's
think they're
wild.
motorcycles.
Yeah.
They're not.
No.
A pedal assist doesn't do anything unless you're pedaling.
Right.
So
It's
as
not
you
like an
pedal,
e-bike where you can
It
just.
gives you a little bit of boost. So it
That's
just makes
weird.
you a little bit younger.
It's almost just like gears on steroids a little bit. I mean,
So, but it's getting better. They're getting more accepted, and they're just so much fun. I mean, there's some
Dang.
great trails here, and there's a lot of new trails that are being built. We were super influential and helpful in trying to get the Valley Vista trails built in Pleasant Grove.
wow.
But through all of our businesses, we try to help build trails.
See,
That's cool.
the one thing that's standing out, and I'm sure you hear this all the time, but I love it when we talk to people in here. There's a lot of people that are in business because that's just how they make money. But then there's people that really love their businesses, right? They, like, you ride bikes. You have over 300 bikes personally. And I mean, I think, would you agree that that plays a big role in the success of your stores?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Right?
Yeah. So, I mean, we run good businesses and they're profitable, but it's all about the passion.
Yeah.
There's been hundreds of opportunities, maybe thousands of opportunities to do other things, but I'm very focused on what I'm passionate about, what I like, and it doesn't mean I'm like the best at it.
Oh, for sure.
But I love riding a bike. It's just fun. Like when it doesn't even matter if I'm like on a beach cruiser riding along in California by the ocean. Like I still love it.
And you really learned that at BYU. Like before that, riding a bike as a kid, like didn't
So I grew
really
up on
hit
a
it?
farm, and we had had a bicycle and stuff, but it just wasn't the same access, And then when I came here and I got a bike eventually, as a college student, like just the freedom and the opportunity to explore and to just experience the mountains, and you're riding along and there's a deer that runs out in front of you. I mean, it's just
Right.
cool, like
And
to
it's
be
quiet.
there, and then you get a benefit of getting exercise.
For sure.
I don't necessarily. Some people they're exercising, and so they choose to ride a bike. I'm choosing to ride a bike, and then the exercise is a byproduct.
Right.
So
That's a huge difference.
yeah, I don't.
You're doing it because you love it, not because you have to do
And
it.
then I just happen to get some fun exercise
Right.
because I'm doing what I love.
Right.
And that's more my philosophy in the bike stores.
Right.
Some people want to just like, I don't know if they're having any fun, but they're doing it for exercise. I'm like, no, let's do the fun part. Let's focus on the
totally.
fun.
You'll always get more benefit with that. So are you focused mostly on mountain biking, or do you guys do road bikes?
We
too?
do road bikes. Yeah, we do kid bikes. We do kind of the Murdoch Canal
Right.
trail bikes.
Okay.
So what is that? What type of bike? So for example, if we were to ride bikes, it would probably be more that with the ability to go into the mountains if we wanted to.
Just on like simple trails, like gravel trails.
My wife enjoys riding bikes, but she doesn't necessarily want to go do a big mountain trail and have the chance of crashing down the hill.
Yeah.
But she loves being together with the family and being on a bicycle. So we got her a Specialized Como, and it has a little bit more of an upright position, a little bit more comfortable seat. Right. You're not leaned over, and it's a pedal assist, and she loves that bike. Okay. And then, a whole bunch of her friends have ended up with the same bike. And
if she wanted to, she could go in the mountains a little bit, or no?
It would go on like a dirt trail maybe.
Okay.
But it's not necessarily designed to go do like Sundance.
Sure.
That wouldn't be a good bike for that. And but it's upright. It's just really comfortable.
Okay.
It's like imagine the beach cruisers from the 50s, but this is the 2020 version of it.
Yeah.
That has pedal assist and great brakes, and it's super confident, inspiring, and it's just a great bike.
Cool.
So just allows you to get out and be more mobile.
I do too. Is there a pedal assist bike for me?
Yeah.
That can handle me?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you can't like be super rough on it.
Well,
but yeah,
it's not like I can be super rough. I mean, I would just ride
like
it.
One that jump and stuff, we're gonna have a hard time. But
yeah, no, there's no jumping in my future.
But yeah, we could absolutely get you on a bike and.
No way. We might have to go.
Check
shopping trip. Because I would. My wife this last year has really taken to. She wants to get into riding her bike more, and I'd love to do that. I've got this old Specialized that I bought that's kind of a hybrid. It's tall, but it's skinny, and I just don't. I don't like riding it. It feels like it's going to break.
They made wider tires, so the rims and tires and everything have become wider.
Right.
And it just makes it so much more confidence inspiring. If you're 150 pounds, the little narrow mountain bike tires that were sub 2 inches, probably fine.
Right.
But if you're 240, 250, and you're coming into a turn hot, and you got this little narrow tire, you feel like you're going to die.
Yeah. That's how I feel every time I ride my bike.
And so you get a little wider tire, like a 2.6 or a 3.0,
and that's not like the fat tire for snow. That's just a little bit wider
tire. Fat tire for snow is 5 inches.
Oh, okay.
Those things are massive.
But you can get a mountain bike tire in that 2.6 to 3.0 category. Just feels so much more confidence inspiring.
Okay. Very cool.
So do you have a bike in mind for me?
Yeah, I got a couple.
Do you really?
Depending on the price point.
What's it look like?
I'm a bike salesman. I'm totally up front.
It's okay.
So
I want to look at it. What is it? Specialized?
So Specialized. I would probably look at the Levo. And that one starts around $5,500, so that's a bunch of budget.
Right.
But if
Is
that one wasn't,
assist?
that would be a pedal assist.
I'm not even going in unless there's pedal assist.
So
that's the part that's got me all excited.
The other option would be potentially like a Taro, which is also a pedal assist, but it doesn't have the rear suspension, and that starts in the 3s.
I want the rear suspension.
That's a cool bike,
Really?
the Levo. It's a cool bike. A lot of power, strong.
Wow.
So
Look at that.
it's a great bike.
So
we sell
cool.
a ton of them. So
wow, what a story. So wait, so family-wise, you married, kids?
we're married. My wife's name is Annette. We got married in '92.
Wow.
So
right before all the
you just got to work.
I got a big year coming up. So 30th anniversary.
No way. Congratulations.
And
How
4
cool.
kids. The oldest is Bailey, and then Allison, then Zach, and Zoe.
Wow. Any of them into biking?
They all love bicycles, and it's just been something. You didn't have to have a birthday or Christmas or something to get a bike in our family. It's like, hey, Dad, is it time for a new bike? Yep, let's go.
How cool.
Anytime. And, I don't like this color. Well, let's just switch it out.
No way.
So bikes were always an easy go-to for our kids.
That's cool.
So
That is really cool.
yeah.
So I've got selfish questions about Lizardskins because of hockey, but
Let's do it.
it's funny, like I never really put together that Lizardskins was here. That's crazy. And you've got Alex DeBrincat too, one of my Blackhawks, on your hockey roster. But I mean, you guys do all sports. I mean, it's grips for baseball, biking, hockey. I mean, imagine rugby, lacrosse, lacrosse, all that.
we started with making products for cycling.
Right.
And we had done a pretty good job, and we got to a certain size as a company there. We had the opportunity to roll out a new product for road bikes, and it was a tape. And
does it help them stay closer to the curb?
There's rocks and gravel and glass and everything there.
I've had
that's
this
where you get a
argument
flat
with
tire.
3 of my friends. I'm like, okay, fine.
So yeah, I think if I could, maybe I create a charity someday that just has street
sweepers. That's
a
good idea.
So just to clean it.
Street sweeper brought to you by Bike Peddler.
That would be like the perfect thing, because that would make it better for all of us. So we started with cycling, and we had a whole bunch of products, but then we rolled out this handlebar tape, and it really wasn't a big deal. I mean, we thought it was a big deal, but it wasn't selling a lot. And we got lucky, and we got a team in the Tour de France to use our product.
Wow.
And so it was Vacansoleil. And one of the riders at that particular year was Johnny Hoogerland, and he was in the polka dot jersey, which is a really cool award. And he was from the Netherlands, which is flat, and the polka dot jersey is, for winning a mountain stage.
Right.
But he had jumped out and done these breakaways, and so he got points, and so it was really neat. We were excited, and
you're getting great TV
we're getting
coverage
some
too.
TV coverage, but the tape is kind of invisible on the bicycle.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, the guy got hit by a press car, Johnny Hoogerland.
Oh.
So this is several years ago. You might even remember it from watching Sports Channel. And he got hit and thrown into a barbed wire fence. And he hit the fence so hard that he pulled the wood post out of the ground.
Oh, man.
But in true, Tour de France style, they basically kind of picked him up, put him on a new bike, gave him a push, and off he goes. And he's bleeding, he's a mess. I mean, there's a barbed wire fence. So they pull up next to him in a medical car, and they start wrapping him up with gauze and stuff. And while he's riding his bike, and eventually he gets to the finish line, and he's a mess. His bandages are all falling off. Looks like Frankenstein.
I just watched it.
And yeah, it's brutal.
Oh my gosh.
So after the race, they kind of clean him up a little bit, and then they get him on camera. And there was 2 of them that got hit. The one guy kind of had a bad, bitter attitude, and he was like, somebody's got to pay for this, and that person needs to be kicked out of the Tour de France forever and ever and ever. They can't ever be a press person again. I mean, it was pretty harsh.
Yeah.
Johnny, on the other hand, came out and was like, I'm super disappointed. This is really going to negatively impact my performance in the Tour de France. And, but hey, this could have been worse. It was an accident, and let's move on. And so everybody fell in love with him for having this attitude of dealing with, frankly, bad things that happen to us. Sometimes there's just bad things that happen.
Yeah.
And you can deal with it with a good attitude, or you can deal with it with a bad attitude. That's what you get to choose. Right. You don't get to choose about the bad thing happening to you.
Yeah.
You get to choose how you manage your emotions and your comments after that bad thing happened.
Yeah.
So Johnny became crazy popular. Everybody loved that guy. We all fell in love with him immediately. So they started just checking out his bike. What kind of bike was it? What kind of seat? What kind of handlebar tape? What kind of components? What team was he on? And so our product just started selling like crazy, and then it sold out all over Europe.
Oh my gosh, isn't that crazy that the thing that got it supercharged was just him getting in a wreck? It had nothing to do with the tape.
It was how he managed himself. Because
Yeah.
I don't know the other guy's name. I can't remember it.
Oh my gosh,
The
isn't
other
that
guy
crazy?
didn't
Because the
handle
other
it.
guy got hit first. It was funny. There's one guy that got hit and bounced into Johnny, but he's the one that got launched into the fence.
Whoa.
But it was Johnny's attitude. In sports, you get hurt, you have things happen, and it's the attitude.
Yeah.
So, we have a lot of the high school mountain bike athletes will come and do a tour at Lizardskins. I open up the building at night, and we do an open house, and I share that story. And So
what a great story.
But that was, we call it our Forrest Gump moment,
Right.
So the handlebar tape starts going crazy. And then I had a general manager at Lizardskins. His name's Brad Barker. He has boys that love to play baseball. And he's saying, hey, we should make this tape for baseball. And then I had another roommate that got me into cycling, showed me Moab and Sundance and all these fun places. And he had 3 boys that loved baseball. And he says, you should really make tape for baseball. And they're both using the handlebar tape on baseball bats.
Right.
And they're like, there's a fit here.
Yeah.
So we rolled out baseball tape.
So at that point, his Lizardskins, was it solely tape? Had you stopped
Just-
making all the other
We made
stuff?
a whole bunch of other stuff. So we made a whole line of cycling accessories.
Okay.
And now we've modified this cycling product, different adhesive, different length, different width, different thickness, different backing, different pattern, changed it completely, and we rolled it out. We got best of show at our first trade show we went to. But in the end, we probably lost money in baseball that year, but people would buy it and then rebuy it. And so they were committed. Like once they tried it, they were connected to it and they loved it.
Got to shed your skins, man.
Yeah.
Fits the brand.
And they just went for it. So they just loved it. And then the next year we grew a little more, and then pretty soon it got to be exponential where I'm hawking everything I can hawk to pay for the next container. And growth is like 200, 300, 400%, and it's like I'm chasing money.
Yeah.
And it was a fun time.
So when did you get into MLB?
So that was probably a few years after we launched the handlebar tape.
Okay.
There was a local pro named John Buck, and awesome guy. And he wanted to go to a trade show. And interestingly, he reached out to one of his high school coaches and said, I can't get into the show. It's sold out. And what do you think? And they kind of came up with the idea of maybe talking to Lizardskins and seeing if we would let John come to the show with us. And so the high school coach reaches out to Brad and says, baseball coach, and says, could John come to the show with you guys? We had a 10 by 10 booth. Like it wasn't like it was big or anything. It was quite small. And Brad is sharp. He's a very intelligent guy. He's like, wait, John Buck wants to be in our booth with us? Yeah, great. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, we'll share. So, this is a pro.
Yeah.
And so he was really fast to make a yes decision on that. And then John just started playing with the tape and putting it on his bats and checking it out. And he talked with Brad and says, I think this would work for the pros, but you need to make it thinner. So Brad talked to me about it, and I remember real clearly, like we're both just like shaking our heads, like there's no way this is going to work. Like pros have been using sticky stuff on their bats for 130 years.
Right.
There's no chance they're going to use this colorful tape on the bottom of their bats. Like this is
It's just straight pine tar.
not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we both looked at each other like, what do you want to do? John wants a thinner tape. Let's make a thinner tape. Like, who are we to decide whether this is going to work or not? Like, John says he wants thinner tape. Let's make thinner tape.
Right.
And so we made a thinner tape, and John started using it. And he loved it, and he starts getting other people to use it. In the meantime, he bought a handful of bikes from me on the off season, and he starts riding, and he is in the best shape of his career when he reports to spring training, and he is just killing it with the bat. He is knocking them out of the park. He's got the highest batting average. It's nuts.
Wow.
So they do an interview on him on national TV, and they talk about Lizardskins.
Oh my God.
So it's like a minute and a half on John Buck, and because he had like the best batting average at that point in the season. So it was like a minute and a half on
crazy
on national TV. All our emails and telephones blew up the next day. It was
Isn't that wild?
Next Forrest Gump moment, right? So then John,
like his retirement announcement on ESPN, he's got Lizardskins on.
yeah, John's awesome. So I got to see John just right before Christmas. I got him some Christmas presents lined up. So I'm gonna do some personal shopping. He's like, I need a bike for my kid. I'm like, I'll go find you one. Cool. And so good dude. So he then talks to a couple of the equipment managers and gets us an invite through Kevin Kierst, the equipment manager for the Mets, to go to the equipment manager show, and then that allows us more access to the players. Yeah. And then John starts talking to these other players, and one time he literally, I mean, it's crazy, the stories, but sometimes you wonder, like, what's happening at the plate, like why there's a timeout and why the catcher is talking to the batter and what's going on, and you're just wondering, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, there's this story out there that, you know, John is talking to this player that comes up with athletic tape on his bat. He's like, get with the program, man. You need to call Brad at Lizardskins, and he'll hook you up.
Oh, no.
And so the guy's
because he's a catcher, right?
Yeah, he's
John
a catcher.
Buck's a catcher.
And he's like, what?
So he's selling your product
they're
in a
literally
can.
like out of the... They're not even in... Like they've called a timeout, basically. They're like talking on the side over here. And John's like, you need to get with the program, you know, and get some Lizardskins.
Oh.
And... So
my gosh, that's
so that
cool.
guy became one of our future.
Who was it?
Hunter Pence.
Shut up! It was Hunter Pence.
Who's the nicest guy? Like he's the coolest guy ever. Like, and he's a Lizardskins athlete. Like we love the guy. Like the personality and just like he's just so cool.
Oh my gosh!
There's some fun people out there. I mean, they're superstars, right? But they're still humans.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they're so fun, like when you get to see, you know, behind that curtain, so to say, of like, they're just cool dudes.
Yeah. Wow.
But just some fun stuff. Like I wasn't there, but you know, and maybe the story got embellished. I don't know, but that's how the story was told to me. It was crazy.
So Mike Trout works with you guys too?
Mike Trout is awesome. Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah. So we have Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Anthony Rizzo, Eric Hosmer.
So all of the biggest names.
Yeah. We've been on the front cover of Sports Illustrated, to our knowledge, 8 times, none of which was planned. So it'll be like some friend.
Just free marketing.
Generally, it's like one of Brad's old high school friends from Canada will call. Brad's Canadian.
Right.
And he's like, did you see you guys were on the front cover? I was like, no. So then we hustle around and we try to go find, you know, a Sports Illustrated somewhere. And so, yeah.
Unreal. And so how did that start playing into
boom,
getting into these other sports?
Cycling, or then baseball just goes crazy. So cycling, I think I got myself mixed up here. So cycling created the opportunity for baseball. Then baseball starts going absolutely nuts. And the funds and the infrastructure that we had from cycling helped create baseball. Then we launched.
And it was all from this chance, like Joe Buck coming to the trade show.
On the baseball side,
that's what I'm saying.
That's where it really took off. I think we would have had some success.
For sure.
But John Buck.
But what a great story. Just like, yeah, he can come along.
Oh, yeah.
And then.
Yeah, it was great.
Now you have Mike Trout.
And so then we did lacrosse, and we still honestly haven't had the success that we wanted in lacrosse. Still working on it, still chipping away at that. And then we went into hockey, and hockey had some good success right out of the gate, but then COVID really shut it down. Yeah. So the ice sheets, you know, they're easy to lock. You know, just
for sure.
So somebody that's in charge of the facility says, you know, COVID, and
because they're all county and state run. It's
so they locked them up. So we struggled with hockey in 20 and 21. It was tough, but now hockey is rebounding. We're seeing some significant growth. We've got some great athletes that are using the product, and we have a huge amount of new product in the pipeline for hockey.
Really?
And I am stoked about.
Can we talk about it?
Probably not
Off the air?
yet. Off the air,
We've
yes.
gotten some fun exclusive after the mic's turned off.
But we
Ooh, that's
are
exciting.
a grip company, and so
Right.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
But we are not done making new product for hockey, and we have some stuff that is it's gonna rock the market. We're pretty excited about
No
it.
way.
It's gonna be big.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's a category we're committed to. We're excited about.
It's funny. One of your athletes is my favorite stick. I've been using the sticks forever. Is his curve profile, Landeskog.
Yeah, he's cool.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
such a good player.
Brad got to go spend some time with him at the end of last year, and
Really?
he's like, I just talked to this guy all night. Like, this guy is like,
He's one of my favorite players.
this is a great dude.
There's
you
not
know?
many players that are as good as him, but that can
So
throw dudes around too. Like he gets pissed off, and I really like that out of like a superstar, offensive superstar. But he'll just go beat the crap out of you if you make him mad, which it's pretty cool. I like him.
So we're excited. We're very happy to be able to work with him.
Wow.
And then what we learned from making these different products for the different sports is more about adhesives, more about the textures, more about the patterns, the thicknesses, the backings, and it gave us the opportunity to launch gaming.
I was just gonna ask. Like I saw gaming, and I'm like,
Hold on, what do you mean
brilliant
gaming?
controllers.
So we make grips for PlayStation, Xbox.
Do you know what's
your
funny?
Mouse.
You're gonna like this. So I bought an Xbox Pro controller, like the $200 controller last year, and I went and got that, which I use on my hockey stick, or I used to use on my hockey sticks. That I want to call it surgical wrap.
Okay, yeah.
Like it's adhesive,
Yeah.
but it's soft.
Yeah.
And I wrapped it around my Xbox controller because my hands get sweaty. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my gosh, problem solved. But yeah, that's how much I was nerding out. But it's true. Like you start playing Call of Duty and you get all into it and your hands get a little sweaty and you can't have your hands slipping around. But I'm looking at these controllers. I'm like, this is brilliant.
It's so funny. Like
Yeah.
each of the, got a lot of friends that I work with, or maybe I went to school or high school or whatever with. And depending on what their kids are into is whether, Lizardskins is cool in their mind. Right. So, the ones that are like totally into cycling, they were like, oh, this is great.
Right.
But, other ones that like never cycled. Then we started making baseball products, and they're like, hey,
Right.
can you give me some product for my kid? And so now Lizardskins is interesting. And then, had that same thing happen with like literally a business partner I have some buildings with. Hockey didn't mean anything to him. Baseball didn't mean anything to him. Cycling didn't mean anything to him. Then we came out with gaming. He was on me like flies on stink. Dude, I need some samples. I need some stuff for my kids.
These are amazing. I'm looking at all the products.
So I'm like, okay, we have a chance. Like this might work.
So are they the actual controllers or
No,
just
it's the grip,
just the grip.
overlay on the controllers.
Okay.
And we figured out how to use an adhesive that you can take on and off. So we've got some gamer guys that are using this, and in full disclosure on this, once you put it on there, like you're committed.
Oh, yeah.
Because we like took it away from them. They're like, okay, now try playing without it. And they're like, oh yeah, I can't. It's like, no, it's not possible.
Oh, cool.
So
That's such a crazy industry right now.
Oh, it's massive.
we're excited. We're getting distributors all over the world. So we have distributors in Australia, great people. We've got Japan. We're getting set up in Europe. We're in Walmart Canada.
Wow.
Ironically, that's the Walmart that we ended up with. But so we got Walmart Canada, and so it's starting to happen. It's our fastest growing division to date.
Are you guys sponsoring a gaming team or anything yet, or just
We
athletes?
have worked with a lot of influencers,
Right.
And we found like the micro influencers are a good fit for us.
Right.
Have you talked to like the space station boys up north? Sean Hearn. Blah, blah, blah. Wow, Duras and Sean.
I'd have
Holiday and Sean Duras.
I'll have to double check with our guy that's in charge of that division, Ryan.
They run like a big esports team with like a bunch of like gaming influencers, and they're just up in Layton.
Might be fun to get it connected.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but kind of fun, not horribly expensive.
Right.
And you can customize and get your own color and your own look, and it's great.
So do you have different partners for Bike Peddler, Timpanogos, and Lizardskins, or are your like equity partners? Do you all cover all of them?
So I have a bunch of. So I have several partners in real estate. So
Okay.
I have different buildings. So Lizardskins needs a new warehouse. I get a buddy and we go build a building together.
Got it.
So I've done that. I need a new building for Timpanogos Cyclery, and I get a buddy and he goes and helps me with the building. And
Okay.
so I've done several buildings that way, and I become a tenant, but I also get to become an owner.
Sure.
And so, and I've enjoyed it, and it's a lot of fun. And then the bike stores are more us. And
Okay.
then Lizardskins, kind of the big news. It's public, but in October we actually sold Lizardskins to Marucci Sports that makes the bats.
Yeah.
And so I'm still involved, still on the team. But Marucci was acquired in 2020 by Compass Diversified, which is a public company.
Right.
So to think that, I've been doing this for almost 30 years now, that created something that a public company would want.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Very cool.
So did they buy everything, all future
They bought
products too?
Lizardskins.
Okay.
So not the buildings, not the bike stores.
Yeah.
They bought Lizardskins.
Cool.
And, and we'll look back in 5 years and it'll be worth, more than double than what I sold it for.
It's kind of like what your partner that went to Costa Rica is thinking right now.
Yeah. Oh, probably.
So,
Like, well, I guess I got one good year of surfing. Damn it.
but I mean, they're just one of the fastest growing brands in baseball.
Right.
And they have a huge number of athletes using their bats.
Yeah.
So Marucci's the number one bat used in Major League Baseball. Victus, which is one of their other brands, is number 2.
Jeez.
And so between
Like Timp
Victus,
Cyclery and Bike Peddler.
Yeah.
In the bike space. 1 and 2,
the so
Same
when you
owner.
add Lizardskins, Victus, and Marucci, like we might have as much as 60 to 65% of Major League Baseball players using one of our products.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So will they keep, and are you going to keep the brand?
Yeah, that
Lizardskin?
was the goal and that was the plan. We interviewed and negotiated with several companies, and the companies that we had 6 different companies come and visit us. It was very private. We only talked to 20 companies total. 6 came and visited us, and 2 had LOIs that they submitted.
Okay.
And the plan was to leave, Lizardskins HQ here in American Fork, Utah, and they're just going to add wood to the fire.
Very
so they
cool.
have a huge rep force. So we're going to be able to tap into their rep force, and so we'll have better communication with the dealers. They have deeper connections and ties with some of the large stores like Dick's and
Right.
Academy, and we're just going to see more of our product get added there. We make some of the best batting gloves in the world right now, but to some degree, we're like blocked out.
Oh, for sure.
Like we can't get our batting gloves into some of these big retailers.
So you have Lizardskin batting gloves.
Oh, and they're amazing.
How cool.
Interesting.
Absolutely amazing. Like some of the best product on the market. And we've got some athletes, in fact, that will cancel their, all-in-one
Franklin
contracts. I'm not going to use any names, but some of their head-to-toe contracts.
Right.
And they'll carve out batting gloves to use ours. Wow. Because the competition for
Jeez, now you're talking like
cycling,
Nike, Under Armour.
Yeah.
Damn.
Name.
we're smoking them on the product. Like it's not even
Well,
a
what's
comparison.
so cool is how excited you are still about it, even though you sold it. Like, so you're obviously still.
Yeah, I mean, I've
You're
done it
still
for
all
almost
in.
30 years.
Yeah.
It's your baby.
I reinvested a significant amount of money into the new entity.
Okay.
And so,
So you're still all in.
I win. Yeah. The company will grow. It's going to be huge, and it's going to be a force. It is a force in
Yeah.
baseball now. It's going to be even bigger.
I have a pitch.
What you got?
Pickleball.
We have it.
So it's so funny because the other day I'm at Shields
Yeah.
you know, they have a pretty decent little, so I play pickleball every day, like 3 to 4 hours a day. Well, not right now because of my frickin' knee, but I was looking at over grips, and there were some lizard skin grips
that were over there
randomly on that aisle, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that, because I've tried every over grip,
so
like Prince Head, like all the tennis ones, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be brilliant.
The product is actually finalized. It's being manufactured, and then it has to get, delivered to us. So later this summer, we will have it out.
Oh my God.
We've got an amazing rollout of colors.
I'm in.
We have
What about golf club grips?
Interesting.
definitely a possibility, but the pickleball is
massive.
It's killer.
Growing
like
crazy.
The packaging turned out killer. We did some of the parts that we did to it is new that we've never done.
And they're pickleball specific?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's
because now we're all using tennis crap.
Yeah, no.
Like it's all tennis racket stuff that you have to cut down to fit. And it's like
perfect.
pickleball is exploding. It'll be an Olympic sport. And
some of my competitors, if they catch this podcast, are not going to be happy. They'll be stressed out for the next six months. We're coming, and
they should be stressed out because
the guns are loaded, man.
Well, that's the thing. I think
awesome.
pickleball's wild west, right? I mean, you've got the paddle manufacturers, but most of them you can tell just don't know what the crap they're doing. They make good paddles, but they don't know how to market. They don't know how. So you pretty much just have the tennis world taking over, but I still think that no one's doing it right.
So maybe what we need to do is I can entice you with some pickleball grip at the bike store.
Let's
go. Come to the bike store, and I'll give you some pickleball grip.
I would love to try some grips. And I know some pretty, it's funny, Utah's actually, I just read an article, top 5 states for high-level pickleball.
My wife loves pickleball, so she's very excited for us to get this done.
I can't wait to try it.
She'll have stocking stuffers for all her pickleball friends.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing. Well, you're ahead of the game. I can't wait to try it. And yes, I will be coming to look at that Specialized at some point. My wife would be so excited. We just can't talk about price.
You can say,
keep that
I
quiet.
had someone come on the podcast, and she's going to think,
That's true. I got a hookup now.
Uh-huh.
That's true. And that's believable because I do have a lot of hookups.
Yeah.
I'll bring barbecue for your staff, just for a little discount. We'll do a party.
They would like that.
How cool. What a great story. And I mean, I love how it just
Each one of them
like
individually, though,
individually, but they're connected
collectively,
to,
it's amazing.
But it seems like
It's grips.
it's grips, and it's
So we know
but
grips.
it's relationships too. It seems like good people, good service, love your product, or you love what you're doing, and it seems like things just kind of naturally, like you stuck with it, and things just. I mean, obviously we talk about the roses on the podcast, right? We don't, but I'm sure there were some very hard things that have happened throughout this, 30 years, but. What a very cool organic way to grow into what you've grown into.
You learn, right? I mean, some of the lumps that you take along the way is what helps you be ready. Like,
Yeah.
And we talked about how hard it was to get a bicycle in 2020. Mm-hmm. I'm in the middle of that, right? Having 2 bike stores. So things were like plugging along at Lizardskins. And then I'm telling everybody at Lizardskins, like, we need to order more inventory. And they're like, we thought we were going out of business last month. What are you talking about? I'm like, we need to order more inventory. Like, we have 4 years worth as of last year's sale or last month's sales. I'm like, it's going to turn around.
Yeah.
Just trust me. We need more inventory. I'm like, and finally, I don't generally get grumpy, but I'm like, whose money is this?
Exactly right.
Like, whose money is this? Like, the money that's in that account right there, whose money is that? That's yours. Like, I want to spend it. I want to spend it on more inventory. Will you help me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay. So you please buy.
Is that
4 years
exactly how
worth.
you said it?
That's exactly how.
I want to hear grumpy. I want to hear what you're actually saying. Be like, listen, that is my money. If I say spend it, you spend it.
These people are awesome, and we treat them with respect. So we did have to have a course correction.
I would have said the B word.
So, course correct. Like, whose money is that in that account? It's yours. Like, please spend it on this stuff.
Wow.
So we ended up buying more inventory than we've ever bought before. We had more product on order than we've ever bought before. Our inventory in our warehouse right now is fuller than it's ever been before. and we're going to have our biggest month in January that we've ever had by a long shot. So I teed this thing up absolutely perfect, for Marucci for massive success, and which is success for me.
That's right.
That's so cool.
You don't want to have a sale and then thing tanks the next day. Like, that's no good. I got an image. I've done this for 30 years. I've got a reputation. I want it to be crazy successful, and right now it's on that path.
Congrats, man. What a great. That's so cool.
And one of the things, you'll like this, you didn't even know this before the podcast here, but in December, I put out a little extra bonus to try to get a specific project that was legitimately kicking our butt. It was a tech project that was so hard. We've been working on it for months and months and months. And I'm like, look, if you guys can just get this thing figured out, I'll take you down to Bam Bam's for lunch. No lie.
Are you serious?
I'm not, no lie. It's for sure. That was
what?
That was the commitment. So it was just killing us. So I did give them some money too.
No way. Okay, good.
But they're like, hey, let's go do this Bam Bam's.
No
I'm
way.
like, I'm ready. When do you want to go?
All right. Well,
So,
I'll deliver it myself.
and,
I'll bring food for everybody.
They're coming here.
No way.
And by the way, my last visit here was an amazing experience. My boy is in Tucson on a mission. And I happened to be down looking at a car in Provo. And I don't know why, but when I pulled out of the place, because they were driving me crazy, I wanted to buy a Jeep, and there's no Jeeps anywhere other than apparently this one Jeep. And it took me all day to buy a Jeep. I just wanted to buy the Jeep. I didn't know we had to spend all day together. So I'm just worn out. I'm like, I'm going to Bam Bam's for lunch.
No way.
And so I came to Bam Bam's. It's not the closest, I wish there was one in the north part of Utah County. Hint, hint. So I came here and I sit down. It's like family style tables for those that haven't been here. And this mom and a young missionary sit down at the same table I'm at. And I ask him, like, oh, that's cool. When are you going on your mission? He goes, about an hour.
Yes.
Oh, no.
I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I'm going to MTC in an hour.
His last supper was at Bam Bam's.
And I'm like, where are you from? He's like, I'm from Colorado. And, they drove in. Him and his mom drove in, and she was dropping him off. I'm like, where are you going? He goes, I'm going to Tucson.
Shut up.
So anyway, we got to hang out here. I got a picture I'll show you afterward.
How cool.
And so we got to talk for a minute, and it was awesome.
That's
when
rad.
I built this place, that was the exact reason that I did the tables the way that, and it's funny because I haven't thought about that in a long time. But, I remember when I started, I was like, I hate cell phones. I hate how nobody talks to each other anymore. I'm going to force it. And like that story right there just reminded me of why we did that in the first place. And
it was really cool.
So neat. And that's the other thing is we've always done free food for, like, if you're going into the MTC, your last meal is on us.
Okay.
And I got to start being here more on Wednesdays because it happens quite a bit. And I think that's such a neat,
I'm going to find that
what a
picture
neat
for you.
thing. Thanks for telling me that story. That is amazing.
And he wasn't local.
Yeah.
But somehow they knew, like, this was the place.
Yeah. How awesome.
There's a few people that have figured it out.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, oh, you get free food at Bam Bam's. Let's go there.
No, it's...
No, we do a lot with missionaries. If you're in this zone, you get free food once a day. But if you're a missionary, you get 50% off all the time. Because I got fed for free at a Hardee's in Alabama. Like, we got one free meal a day. And I thought, and she wasn't even LDS. Thought it was so cool. So I'm like, now that I have the restaurant, I'm like, I got to pay that back.
That's cool.
It's cool to have missionaries in here. How awesome. I didn't even ask you about your cars.
I have some
Because
cars.
that's another passionate thing of yours, it sounds like.
I have a little problem with cars.
It's like you just like wheels.
I do like just about anything with wheels.
So what's your car? Do you have like an era or a type?
Yeah, I love the 60s.
That's so good.
Yeah, I love the 60s, and it's just the shapes.
Yeah?
Just love the shapes. I'm not necessarily into one brand over another.
Whatever catches your eye.
Yeah, I just love the shapes. And
Do you have a favorite? Like a favorite?
I've got
Are you buying them in like
I try to buy them as perfect as possible.
So you're not into like working on them as much.
I don't mind tinkering with them, and I don't mind keeping them up, but it's actually financially smarter to buy the most expensive version you can afford.
For sure.
Yeah, and so
you could spend so much money fixing those things,
and then you can have fun with it. But yeah, I've got a '65 Mustang Fastback.
Wow.
And it's just absolutely amazing.
Do you ever drive it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. We drive them all. They all start. They all drive.
Cool.
Drive them all. Mustang's great. And my wife saw me on the computer one evening, and I was looking at old cars. And she's like, are we getting another old car? Yeah, I think we are. And she's very supportive, and she looks at us like, well, which one doesn't need anything? Like, which one is, like...
Smart.
And I go, well, this red one, but it's like twice as much. And she goes, get that one. And it's gone up in value quite nicely.
Oh, yeah.
And we've enjoyed it a lot. I've got a '65 Corvette Convertible. That was one of the splurges when something big happened at Lizardskins. Right. And that one has like 13 options. So it's probably a one-of-one car.
Jeez.
And I finally got her to drive it. So we had owned it for like 3 years. And my wife finally drove it this last summer.
How fun.
And she's like, this car's amazing. I'm like, I know.
There's something about those old... My best friend just bought... In fact, I was at his house yesterday for delivery. He's always wanted a '65 convertible Lincoln Town... Or a Lincoln Continental. And it's a boat, like suicide doors.
Yep.
And there was just something about it. Like we got in and I'm like, man, they weren't the like smartest cars in the world because they're just so big and
very big.
There's so much character.
Very big. A
in
lot of
that
fun.
Car. But yeah, we went around the block and so cool. I get the old car thing. They just don't build them now like they used to. It's hard to explain, but I think there was just so much more, like I said, character with cars like that.
It was a good one.
So very cool. I like that you drive them too. I like that they're not just sitting in the garage.
Yeah, my wife drove that one, and she's like, "This is the best driving old car we've ever had." I'm like, I know, but she was afraid because it was kind of expensive.
For sure.
And so, but I'm like, no, it's insured. This is great.
That's right. They're made to drive. Go drive them. Show them.
I got a '68 Camaro Convertible. All three of these that I've talked about all have factory air, by the way, which is kind of unique.
Yeah.
For the '68, I'm the second owner. And I bought it from a fax that somebody sent me. So that's how long ago I've had it. It was like a silhouette. That's all you could see, you know? Like, I'll take it. I mean, you know, it was so funny.
Wow.
But I've loved that car. It's not super special other than I'm like the second owner. And then... and we've redone that one. That was kind of at the beginning of COVID when I thought, you know, when business dropped 65% overnight at Lizardskins, and I thought, you know, that business had come to an end, unfortunately.
Got to that point, huh?
Oh yeah, it was like 3 straight months of 65% down. It was like, it was bad. But my friend had a car repair place, and he's like, hey, we're dead. And so I brought over one of my cars. I'm like, well, if this is all going down, I'm going to enjoy it. And so I took my Camaro.
Enjoy going up, enjoy going down.
I took the Camaro over there, and they just took the whole bottom end of it apart. The axle, everything underneath the car was taken apart and all replaced, and just perfect, beautiful underneath. And I just wished I would have done the top at the same time, you know, like the top of the car.
Right.
But I got that all done for me. It was amazing. I've got a '67 Volvo P1800S. Remember the show The Saint?
Oh, yeah.
With Roger Moore? That's the car.
Wow.
Mine's even white, and that's fun. And then, I love watching those old movies. It's just fun, you know, seeing the different... I flipped on the Rockford Files the other day. It was awesome.
I agree.
So that was kind of fun. My kid didn't care for it, so...
Yeah, kids don't like
So she's like, this is no good. And then I ended up with a neighbor that has a tow truck. And he's like, hey, you should come check this car out. So I went over there and checked it out. And it was a '68 Dodge Charger RT with a Hemi.
Oh my gosh.
So we came home with that day. So got some
muscle
motorcycles.
cars, that's your thing.
Yeah. Got an old Yamaha motorcycle in my office at work.
No
So
way.
it's an R5 from the 70s. It's gorgeous.
That's fun.
Wheels, man. You're into wheels.
You know, and if you
Bikes,
buy the right
motorcycles,
one
cars.
and you are careful, they go up in value. And
For sure.
it's just,
Oh, I used to sell. It was so funny. I worked at a big barbecue, like retail shop back at kind of the beginning of my barbecue career. And it was in Arizona. And every year he bought a booth at the Barrett-Jackson auto auction.
Probably did
and
well.
I would cover, we sold Big Green Eggs, like just Big Green Eggs, the cookers there. But I would spend the whole week there, and I did it for 3 straight years. And yeah, I mean, I sold a ton of Big Green Eggs because everyone there is loaded, right? But the cars, like, I'm not super I mean, I don't really collect cars, obviously, but I got a whole new appreciation
It's fun.
for
yeah.
cars. And when you see what people are willing to spend on them and the amount of work they're willing to put in. So they sold the original Batmobile at that.
Oh, yeah.
The second one that I covered.
Barris, yeah.
And it was, anyways, it's such, I see now why people get into it because it is such a neat thing. And there's so much character and nostalgia and
I just enjoy driving them. I mean, that's what it's fun for me. I'm not necessarily the guy that can sit at a car show or that kind of stuff. I just enjoy driving them.
Yeah.
We had a family reunion over the summer, and I just sent out the different members of the family on a different car. Like, take your kid.
That's cool.
Just let them go, for 10 minutes and just drive them and try it. And it was just super fun.
Wow.
The sound and just even
Kids
being
better
able to
appreciate their upbringing. We need to send them letters. Like, hey, you had it good.
Send them letters.
Like, I don't like this color bike. I want a different one. And then I'm taking the Corvette to prom. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for coming
What a
in. This
story.
has been so fun. And
Awesome.
Congrats on all your success. It's been so cool.
It's been a fun journey and just surrounded by a lot of cool people and cool experiences.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much.